In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the new 18-volt bi-turbo cordless circular saw from Bosch. The guys at Bosch were kind enough to gift us this amazing looking saw, plus two 8 Ah batteries. So I want to do an unbiased review of this saw and get into the features and functions that I see as beneficial in a circular saw of this caliber and cost. But as much as I want to do a review of it on its own, I've got in the back of my mind a saw that has for years been known to be the best in its field. However, it's not really apples for apples. Bosch has a track saw already in its range, and this saw by Bosch is somewhat of what I think is a hybrid, with the general feel of a normal circular saw, but with the base plate offering track saw capabilities. The other saw I'm talking about, of course, is the TS55 track saw from Festool. But I'm going to test it on its own capabilities and see if I would buy one as a qualified furniture maker / cabinet maker. So let's get into it. The things I personally look for in a saw if I were to go buy one off the shelf would be the maximum blade diameter, which will determine the maximum depth of cut. So with the battery attached, the balance of the machine, as in when held by one hand, is it too weighty one way or the other? This is important, especially if you're doing heaps of cuts that you minimize fatigue on your wrists. How loud it is, what side the blade is on, are there any dust extraction ports, and how robust it is and the general feel of the machine. Okay, so I want to quickly go over the features that stand out to me at first glance. When I first unboxed it and picked it up, my first impressions were that it was heavy. They boast the equivalent power of an 1800 watt corded saw, so it's probably going to be a bit hefty, especially with the 8 Ah battery attached, so there's no real surprise there. I think this is meant to be a carpenter's saw for framing and on-site stuff, but also have the capability to run on a track, making it more versatile for finished carpentry. I use my track saw a lot, so having this function means that for most tasks on site, I would only need to bring this saw out instead of both my circular and my track saw. This D-style handle is very handy for when you need to hold the saw on its side and cut horizontally. There is a dust extraction port which swivels and indexes. This is great as most circs don't offer one. Indexing is where it clicks into certain positions. There's a display here on top of the motor with a button that you can select the power with. It's also got an eco mode. This is actually great for battery life. Approximately 30% longer apparently, and it's good for reducing noise as well. What's also good for noise reduction is this brushless motor, and it is very quiet. I tested this saw on setting 1 and it was 75 decibels. And just to give you something to compare it to, I also tested our Dyson Stick Vac and that was 81 decibels. I also tested my talking volume and that was about 88 decibels. I've been doing a lot of renovations on our own home and I also work from the garage, so having quiet power tools while our baby is asleep is definitely a factor worth considering. Also, when you're working on a client's home, they may be working from home or have dogs or kids, so having quiet tools is also good there too. Blade diameter that it comes with is 184 millimeters, although the book says that it can take a 190 millimeter blade. I think this is where a lot of people get mistaken. If you just take this out of the box, Bosch says that it can do a certain depth cut, but it actually can't. You'd need to put a 190mm blade on there before you can do that maximum cut. Here you can see the plunge cut gauge, which rather than a smooth track, it locks into each 1mm increment. So it looks and feels like a quality product that you'd expect from Bosch. I've been using Bosch my entire professional career, so I know what they can produce and I've always been happy with them. The AmpShare logo on the battery means that there are other brands that can actually take these batteries. And here's the list. I've only heard of Feintool and Wagner, so I think they're basically all German brands. The documentation says it has kickback technology, where I assume it shuts off when it detects a kickback. But I was jolting it around violently and I couldn't make it initiate. Another thing I did notice, and it might not be a big deal, but you can't plunge cut and have the blade spinning at the same time unless you've got very dexterous fingers. The triggers aren't really in a handy spot to do both. I think they know this, and as with a normal circular saw, you can't really plunge cut anyway, not while having the base plate lowered. You don't really use them like that anyway, but with a track saw, you do plunge cut while the blade is spinning. This is especially true when you're doing sink cutouts where you can't come in from the very end, you have to plunge down into the middle. The blade is on the right-hand side of the machine, which is the opposite to my other Bosch circular saw. Me being a right-hander, the blade being on the left-hand side means you can see the line that you're cutting to. It is a negative, and I'm sure there's a reason, but I think all track saws have the blade on the right. Another negative is the tilt angle indicator. When fully over, it shows 1 degree and not 0. So I'd probably check the accuracy of this before cutting anything. So it's time to put the GKS 18V68GC to the test. First up, I'm going to cross-cut this bit of old red gum. As you can see here, it absolutely eats through it. I tried to go faster than I usually would just to see if it would keep up, and there's no problem there. Next up is a length of 55mm thick red gum, which I'm going to rip down the middle. Again, as I thought it would on setting 6, it cut through without any hesitation. I also put it on the Eco setting. It runs a bit slower, but if you go too fast, the colour on the display turns orange. This is the machine saying, hey bro, just slow down a bit. I'm trying to save your battery here. And to be honest, slower cuts have a better finish, will increase the blade life, and there's less chance of wandering off the mark. So use the Eco setting as you will. I also tried to max it out by going stupidly fast, and it does cut out if it's being overloaded, which is great for the tool and also great for your safety too. When this video was posted, a standard Bosch Circ was around the $300 mark. Their track saw was around $780, and this saw was around the $600 mark. So when you compare it to buying 2 circular saws, which can't do each other's job, this one will save you $480. So the things I like the build quality. It feels like a good quality product that you'll have in your toolbox forever. I like the speed settings and the cutoff features. And I like that it's a track saw without being a track saw. And would I buy one? Yep. And the reason would be that I wouldn't need to buy 2 saws, I'd only need to get this one. Thanks again to the guys at Bosch Australia for the products and the chance to review this truly impressive saw. So thanks so much for watching. I hope this info has been helpful. Please like and subscribe to follow what we get up to in the next video.